How many times are you imagining and you're not even aware of it? Right before you go and do something, you'll even imagine it right before you go and do it. You say, I'm going to go to the store, you think about the door, you think about opening the door, you think about grabbing your keys, you think about getting your keys, you got to think about putting them in the ignition, you think about opening the garage door, you think about what you're going to go buy, you think, how many times are we using our imagination and we're really not even aware of that we're doing it?
All the time.
Even Albert Einstein said that imagination is more important than knowledge.
I know a lot of people with book knowledge and masters and doctorates that haven't been able to do what we've done. Why?
Their imagination doesn't expand. They're stuck in their same ways.
They're not aware. They're not aware. They're stuck in their logic. And they're stuck in their strategies. Their belief doesn't allow them to even imagine. They don't even use it. But yet, where does creation come from? Imagination. That's the reason why you've seen people that are not educated do big things. It didn't have necessarily so much to do with the knowledge. They could attract that on any corner. Specialized knowledge, general knowledge, you can find it at any corner. But the one who can wisely and consciously organize a plan and see the vision, put the vision together, create the model, and execute the model, that's a different brain that can see and envision a whole model all the way to the definition of acquiring money, isn't it? I was always a leader, not by accident. People would always follow me. When the leader can figure how he can support lots of people and help them live the way they want to live, that's a different mindset. If the leader's mind is only how I can feed me, how many people will he employ?
Not many.
Why?
Porque ellos piensan en tener, no en dar.
Yep.
What did Victor say?
He said not many. He said you won't be able to employ many people because all your mindset is in how much can I take?
All right.
Giver's gain.
The more you're thinking of how you can create a model to support lots of people and help people grow within the company and give people opportunities and bring in more wealth and those people train other people. When you're looking at how you can benefit humanity or society, the more value you can give, the bigger the reward. Look at Amazon. What did he do? How many people is he feeding?
A few thousand. And that's through his imagination, just through the internet, reselling and selling stuff on the internet, having a variety from vendors.
What problem is he solving?
He's giving the people the opportunity to shop at their fingertips and to compare prices.
Yep. But that means he had to master what?
His imagination.
Yep. But the only way to master bringing something to somebody's fingertips is what? Master software system and then to master the distribution of that. Distribution centers. If you wouldn't have mastered the distribution center, you don't need the app. Do you?
Yeah, you're right. It would have been a cluster mess up.
If you didn't master the distribution of product, the shipping, receiving a product, there's no value for the app.
I have a question. On one of the key points, it says, at the very first key point, can you elaborate more on your perspective of what it means to maintain an individualized existence?
The individualized existence is going to be your why. If you don't develop and figure out your why, there's no purpose. Then you're just existing. You're existing somebody else's life or somebody else's wants or somebody else's desires. We should observe and be aware of what is going on in our outside world, but be capable of creating and maintaining an individualized existence. When we're not living an individualized experience, we're going to build somebody else's reality. We're going to live somebody else's life. We're going to correspond to the circumstances and never create our own. We are programmed from the outside. That means we're looking at the circumstances. We're looking at the conditions. We're looking at everything outside that the average human does. That person normally stays a victim, and he curates from there. The other way is when you're looking at your own individualized existence. Existence, again, is to live outside of yourself. So when you individualize, that means you introduce the personal factor. Your imagination consists of your ability to recall things you've never thought of. In order to do this readily, you must comprehend how rich your memory is. That means you've got everything stored up inside of you. The reason why majority of the people don't take the next step is because they don't go to the imagination. And if they ever do go to the imagination, they normally use it against themselves. They use their memory to keep them stuck. In order to do this readily, you must comprehend how rich your memory is. You have a bank account you know nothing about. For the memory of man is such that he forgets. Nothing has ever seen or heard or read about or touched. You use a tiny fraction of what you know. So that means knowing means that it's all there, but you don't use it because you don't go to the imagination. You know everything. That means everything's locked up inside of you. It's in your memory and it's also in your imagination. It is all there. All you have to do is recall that your spirit, and you go to the imagination, you got everything there. An enormous wealth of material therefore exists in the mind of the actor, never to be tapped to except in plays. So the normal individual that normally only uses it as imagination, he only uses it as an actor. Instead of wielding that power and moving it into form. There's not a single thing that you've ever seen or heard or touched from the time before you were born that hasn't been stored within you. So that means before you came in, you've got information. Not only the coding from the people you were born into, but you got information from the imagination. Where did that information come from?
You're assuming who you are. I'm assuming I'm a billionaire right now. Do I have $1 billion in my bank account? My assets are worth more than $1 billion? In physics, yes, that's not the fact, but we see the physics with our senses, right? I'm seeing that in somewhere else. I'm seeing it in my mind, or nobody else can see it. And that's what matters. Because what I'm assuming, persisting on that assumption, that persistence and that assumption will influence my behavior, will influence my decisions, will influence my choices, and those will determine my results. That's what I want everybody thinking about, and this everybody doing. You might on this way, you might lose some people, you might find new friends, and that's okay because you're worthy. Your life is important.
Here's another way of looking at what Taha said. If you were to ever go to like a resort, why wouldn't you ask for the top service, or why wouldn't you go to the top resort? If you're not doing it because you don't think you're worthy of it. If you're not asking for the cabana, you're looking at the price. Indirectly, you're saying you're not worthy of it. You're not okay with that. If you're not asking for the clean water and you don't think it needs to be clean, it needs to be the best water they have, the indirect is saying you're not worthy of that. Of course, if you want those things and you want those nicer things, then your identity and your spirit and your actions need to be in harmony with that to receive it. If you don't have the ideas or the money or the ideas to live that way yet, it's because you're not in harmony with it yet.
Yeah, if everybody will read this lesson 6 and take notes, we can kind of elaborate on it next week and open it up. It's really good. All of this book is great, but this one is good. I want everybody to read it and do the workbook, and we can get together and talk and see what you guys picked up. You got to do the work.